we took well over 100 people testifying on the subject matter of this bill, which is Bill 79, regarding the prohibition of genetically modified organisms. Whether you agree or disagree with anybody, I'm asking everyone, there will be no applause, no noise making, no signs, no disturbances while this meeting goes on. If there is a disturbance and I can identify the person, you will be leaving the meeting.
Communication 271, Bill 79, ordinance amending Chapter 14 of the Hawaii County Code 1983 2005 edition as amended by adding a new article relating to the prohibition of genetically modified organisms. From Council Member Margaret Willey, dated April 25th, 2013, the bill adds a new article to Chapter 14, General Welfare, titled Genetically Modified Transgenic Organisms Prohibited, to prohibit the propagation, cultivation, raising, growing, sale, or distribution of transgenic organisms, GMOs.
Ms. Willey, may I have a motion to approve Bill 79?
So moved.
And file all related communications.
And file all related communications. My intention here is to limit the spread of GMO cultivation here on the island, but most importantly, to do so in a fair and pono manner by way of a number of grandfather exemptions for horticultural use, papayas, and livestock, and I will go through those shortly. And at first, I wanted to say that we're really, for practical purposes, the only Hawaiian island in a position to not be sort of overtaken, not become totally GMO-oriented. And we are an island with a vulnerable ecosystem and a vulnerable population. We are the first generation whose children are less likely to be as healthy as their parents. We are also no longer able to assume unlimited natural resources, soils, water, even clean air. And clearly the reasons for the harms or the toxins in our environment are cumulative. There's no one cause of why there's the environment is being degraded or our health is being limited, but some we can control and some we can't. And here we're trying to address and to decrease exposure to what many of us believe to be a potentially toxic substance. I recognize that there are many who say that GMOs are all safe, and there are plenty who say they're harmful, and there's science on both sides. But I think our state and our county are governed by the public trust doctrine and the precautionary principle. And the precautionary principle, in essence, says that in case of uncertainty, err on the side of caution and conservation. And that's what this is all about. This isn't about who's wrong and who's right. There are many that have been using GMOs where it's legal and legitimate and believe in it. And this is certainly nothing meant to be condemning or negative to them. It's to provide a direction to promote greater health and welfare of the people and the environment.
Point 146 is replacing your original, hold on.
Bill 79. Yeah.
271.
Okay. Oh,
nothing.
271. So going to page 6, I want to go through the first substantive section is the definitions. And the key changes here from those who have a copy of the original copy is one is that physically contained, the definition of that, there was a lot of concern as to the difficulty of how one physically contains GMO usage or cultivated crops. And I've simplified this and made it so that there are certain requirements or the like buffer area separation to adjacent property can be reduced based on a demonstration by that party as to how it would be effective. So I've substantially lessened the restriction on physical containment. I've also clarified in terms of registration, where it says registering GMO products, made that very simple. You see exactly what it would be included in registering. I did put in a specific definition for genetically modified organism so that it's not it's simpler and not under the transgenic organism. And then the next session is the exemptions, and that's just what I want to be really clear on. So nothing in this article makes it unlawful to purchase, sell, or use for human food or animal feed that which contains GMO products. The next is the horticultural exemption. There was a lot of concern that really if we're addressing how are we as humans being impacted, that in terms of the floral industry or horticultural, that should be exempted. So this does exempt genetically modified horticultural plants that are used for non-edible purposes. And then there's an exemption for physically contained medical or agricultural facilities exemption. That was also in the original bill. And then I've clarified and made the papaya exemption, that nothing in this article make it unlawful to cultivate genetically modified papaya, provided there's comply with the registration. And there is also a buffer area requirement, but I set a standard, but it can be otherwise if you provide the information how you're going to maintain that buffer, such as, for example, not having any female plants, doing it in a way that that the distance to other production is not significant. And I know of at least one of the papaya farmers where they're farming both GMO and non-GMO and are able to explain how they he ensures that there isn't cross-pollination. And then there's also livestock exemption for those who are customarily engaged in using GMO products. In the original version, it was going to be the Director of Environmental Management that department would administer this. Based on input from that department and also reconsidering how other places have administered it, I've switched it over to the Department of Research and Development, which department includes our agriculture program.
I don't think it's really possible to go the long way without actually having a chance to sit on it and read it and go through it and examine it. Otherwise, we're talking about something that we really haven't had the opportunity to really examine and to talk about in the research. So it's hard to have that conversation without having the time.
The issue I had with this was transparency. And we just got this amendment this morning. It's pretty substantial. And for me, not having the community testify and be able to look at this, and even us being able to look at this, is a really big deal. And the more knowledge we have, the better we can be prepared to explain this and ask the important questions to the community, to the people who are here. Even having them be able to testify on this is pretty important to me. So
Okay.
I didn't want to go into detail about the amendment, but that's just the issue that I had.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kanuha. Ms. Poindexter?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. For example, environmental management, once you move it to R&D, research and development, they don't have the power to enforce. Environmental management does. Okay, so I won't explain it. Okay, so those are reasons. A lot of things are popping up. So I agree with Councilmember Kern and Councilmember Kanuha. The public should have a voice in this first.
All right, thank you. Ms. Eoff?
I wanted to thank Ms. Willie for explaining this amendment so thoroughly, and I appreciate all the hard work that you've done to make these changes. But I think I agree with my colleagues that we need some time to look it over and give the community a chance to understand what the changes are. And so I'm not sure if we've made a motion yet, but.
No, we haven't.
Yeah,
Hang on,
okay.
we got
Well,
a
then
few more
I'll
people.
stop there.
I was going to suggest, Ms. Willie, that we postpone this to the call of the chair, because my idea is, you've been meeting with the community, you've saw I guess a great interest that this bill has generated, so that would be an opportunity or time for you and other council members to go out in the community and talk about your amendment, I guess the one that you're proposing now. As far as changing the enforcement to the Director of Research and Development, have you consulted that department as far as their involvement?
Yeah, I'm trying to add in terms of the budget, additional staff person there. So that's the Department of Ag, and I'll see what their responses are and go from there.
You're in the process of checking with them. Is that what it is? Okay. Okay.
You have come here with your busy schedule, and I'm really thankful that you came here because you showed how much you care about what's going on in government. And when I got a chance to talk to the beef cattle, the non-edibles, the papaya farmers, I got to understand a little bit more about their situation. And when I look at this amendment, I see the prohibition A to C, and then you got the exemptions A to E. So you got this big exemption and this little prohibition. So I'm thinking this pretty much just puts a target to all the local farmers. And instead, it shows that if we as a body passes this, it shows that we think that all GMOs are wrong except this. So it's kind of like, to relate it to you guys, it's kind of like the scarlet letter, putting that A for adultery. So putting that G for GMO on your backs. This is what I see on this amendment. This exempts everyone. However, we think it's wrong. So it's one of those things, let's just focus on what is wrong. What is the main concern? What is the health concern? Rather than exempt everybody.
Chair Ford, you have 8 ayes on the postponement.
Thank you. Bill 271 and all amendments and communications are postponed until July 2nd, 9 a.m. in Kona. And, I'm sorry, Bill 79. That's all related to Bill 79. Thank you for your attendance, and especially thank you for being so civil and polite. I really appreciate it. This meeting is now adjourned.